Have you ever found yourself staring down at a pile of dying embers? The embers may be the end of a loving relationship, a career that is going nowhere, an enjoyable job taken away, or the hope of good health as a disease conquers you. Do you sense at times that your life is meaningless? Do you feel your desire for significance is like a black hole devouring all your experiences and not allowing you to know significance? In a rare, quiet, honest moment, do you feel empty? You gave yourself to that last loving relationship, expressing creatively your love, conscious of performing unexpected kindness, planning special moments, and believing you were in a loving relationship. And then the object of your love just walked out the door, never to return. As you ask the departed lover what you're to do with their possessions, they answer similar to George Strait's song, "Just give it away." The final knock on your significance. How about when you put your life on hold for work, not for a weekend, but for a 6-month slog through a special project or sales opportunity? You have experienced where we are headed. You work long hours every day, every weekend, holidays, and you cancel your vacation to meet the deadline. You feel a sense of pride and accomplishment when the completed project is handed over to your superiors. Unfortunately, they reply, "Oh yeah, thanks, but we have changed priorities." Meaninglessness. I remember sitting in the lobby of a Fortune 20 company, waiting for the senior vice president of the division to present our final proposal on a $10 million per year deal. 45 minutes after our meeting was to start, the executive admin walks out and informs us, "The division just completed a reorg this morning, so your proposal is no longer valid. Thanks." Futile efforts. Fear, anger, resentment, and dread invade our lives as we become aware of our inability to control the events that shape our lives. As we look for meaning from a global perspective, we see a world dominated by strife. We wonder, why is everyone hollering? Why the tensions? Why the poverty? Why the inequality? How can there be so much injustice? Why do we strive to gain power and then abuse that power? Is this the totality of our existence? Are you searching for a different experience, a different life? This season, the Christ, who, what, is designed to lead you to discover a different, fulfilling life. So how do we begin the journey? We start by understanding the fundamental decision we need to make. It is a decision between meaninglessness and meaningfulness. So choice number 1, succumb to the philosophy that life is meaningless. Realize your efforts are inconsequential and have no significance. To solidify this point, many point to the famous blue dot photograph. Voyager 1 in February 1990 turned and snapped a picture of Earth as the space probe was passing by Neptune 3.7 billion miles away. The NASA scientists were at first disappointed when this picture downloaded from the Voyager. There was nothing but darkness. They thought they must have miscalculated the alignment of the camera lens. However, they kept searching, and in this sun ray reflection, they found a small blue dot, which was Earth surrounded by darkness. To those who view life as meaningless, this photo gives perspective to our Earth as an exceedingly small, almost invisible blue dot surrounded by an ocean of empty space. And on that small blue dot, humans strive for meaning and enlightenment within a galactic scale that screams meaningless insignificance. However, as you understand the scale of the universe from the meaningless perspective, you still have to give some reason, some purpose to give guidance to your actions in life. In a fascinating article published in the Journal of Ethics of June 2019, Inmarg Persson elaborates on this belief through a reasoned discussion explaining the meaning of life. First, he says you have to understand the underlying assumption revolves around the fact that an 80-year life against the backdrop of 15 billion years and billions of years to come has no meaning at all. This leads person to a conclusion that the value that gives personal meaning to life then consists in the intentional fulfillment of desires. He then explains that you must understand a decision has to be made around short-term goals and long-term goals. Person states that the short-term goals, more in the moment goals, have a higher chance of being realized, thus providing more meaning. Long-term goals carry the risk of the person dying, being injured, or restrained from the goal by a force outside themselves. And so a whole life may be used to attain this long-term goal and not achieve it. He asks, how much meaning or value does this life produce? In conclusion, Person reminds us that any of our actions against a timeline of billions of years will not make any difference. So decide what brings some amount of satisfaction to your life and apply it yourself. You may decide to try to be nice. You may decide to grab whatever fulfills your desires. Whatever you decide, go full throttle. For remember, since we are insignificant and inconsequential, fill the void with what brings pleasure. You want to go to a nice restaurant or lose 30 pounds? Go to a nice restaurant and you'll achieve your goal. Many of us do not want to accept this conclusion, for as demographers have consistently reported, a majority of us believe in some higher power, superior being, or spiritual reality. Thus, we are attracted more to choice number 2. Inquire about the possibility of a spiritual reality outside our physical experience. Understand what the existence of the personal superior being means to you. Search for what we can know through our experience and wisdom. Learn the characteristics of Christ and appreciate how this brings fulfillment to your life. Throughout the seasons, we will explore various guides, beginning with the universe in Season 1. It is a beautiful and fulfilling journey. As we grow in a new understanding of the power, love, purpose, morality, and equality found in the universe, we will learn to appreciate the scale and how empowering the truth of the universe become for those seeking spiritual wellness. We will learn to view the small blue dot surrounded by empty space with a new perspective that speaks of meaning and significance. Let's start with Stephen Hawking, who describes the beginning of time and matter at the moment of singularity. This moment, a nanosecond before the Big Bang, is where matter and energy contract to a minuscule speck, smaller than our human fist, and then suddenly expands. The expansion spewed this matter and energy outward, and the expansion continues now 15 billion years later. Hawking states, the universe has not existed forever. Rather, the universe and time itself had a beginning in the Big Bang about 15 billion years ago. Hawking dismisses any reality before this moment of singularity as something we cannot observe or measure. He is correct from an empirical sense, as from a human perspective, we can only measure time and matter back to this beginning moment. We have no instrument or data to measure what existed before the Big Bang. Science is amazing, and we'll be discussing many discoveries of science throughout this season. Yet we have come to the door that science cannot open. What was before the Big Bang? And the answer and understanding of that answer are the first steps toward meaningfulness. We will make 2 assumptions in episode 1. First, you believe in a superior being, power, or spiritual reality around us, or at least investigating the idea. Number 2, the superior being wants to be known, and he wants to be known as the Christ. So what? Yes, we live in an incomprehensible large space called the universe on a small blue speck with no other inhabitable planet in view. Thus, science leads us to the conclusion that individually and collectively we have no impact. Yet, many of us sense there is more than just what science can explain. And this more gives us consequence, meaning, and happiness. So truth number 1, there is a superior being who wants to be known as Christ. Paul said this, I consider everything a loss compared to the surpassing greatness of knowing Christ. The journey we are taking together, I have taken many times and have always attained a higher awareness of the many spiritual realities around me and the importance of Christ. I'm excited to experience this again as we take this journey. Thank you for joining the exploration. Next week, we explore the amazing release of energy that started our wonderful universe and what this says about the power of Christ. Your homework this week is to follow Reconsider Christ on Instagram for thoughtful reminders of what we are exploring and experiencing throughout Season 1. Peace.